Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Corn Belt Regional Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, as we wake up on Friday morning, we're tracking some snow across the northern plains, and that'll continue to move eastward across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes through the day on Friday into Friday night. Our attention then is going to shift west as we watch a storm system moving through parts of the southern Corn Belt from Kansas to southern Illinois and Indiana. That's going to be on Saturday night into the day on Sunday, and we can take a look at that here, starting off with the high-resolution NAM model, looking at the whole U.S. view here. We track that first round of snow moving east Friday night into Saturday, and then we're all the way to Sunday here. We watch this storm system moving across southern portions of the Midwest, and we can step through this slowly, going through the day on Friday, watching that snow moving across Minnesota now in the mid-afternoon on Friday, getting into Friday night now. That snow is shifting over toward the Great Lakes, and now through the day on Saturday, mostly quiet, some light snow possible across South Dakota and Nebraska as our next system begins to slowly take shape there, but it's not until we get into Saturday night we finally see this thing taking shape with some heavier snow overspreading Kansas into Missouri. Again, this is early in the night on Saturday night. We get into Sunday, and this thing begins to organize a little bit more as it moves east across, again, through the mid-south and along the Ohio River valleys, where we're going to see that low-pressure center track, and that's going to allow some light snow to fall in a kind of a swath from central Kansas along the Ohio River Valley. How much snow we'll talk about in just a moment. Taking a closer look, though, we'll just look at, again, high-resolution NAM model across the Midwest, watching that first round of snow on Friday and Friday night. Going all the way to Sunday, we watch this next storm system tracking through. So, with the first round, Friday and Friday night, looking at a swath of maybe 3 to 4 inches, broadly speaking, from South Dakota through southern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan and northern Michigan. But then as we watch this next storm system, we'll look at this from the European model. Again, there it goes. I'm going to go ahead and step through this slowly. Let me pause it. We see that first system here, Friday and Friday night, across the upper Midwest. And then we are now into the middle of the night on Saturday night into Sunday morning. We're seeing this storm system tracking again with the low pressure going through the mid-south there, just south of the Ohio River. And that does allow enough cold air to come in to bring some light snow to parts of the southern Corn Belt as it moves off to the east. After it does so, this thing's moved all the way out. We're on Monday night now. We see high pressure settle in. That's going to bring in some very cold air, but some quiet weather for at least a few days. But it doesn't look like it's going to last long. But here it is. We're going all the way through Wednesday again. You see high pressure dominating. We're quiet, but the next active pattern or the next active phase is not far off. Here's a look at the total snow forecast from the European ensemble all the way through Tuesday. So it does show that swath of some snow from Kansas through Missouri and then along the Ohio River Valley there. With heavier snow, it begins to take form there as we head off to the northeast. As this thing moves along the east coast, some heavier snow is going to be possible. So perhaps some snow totals getting north of 6 inches as you get into southern Ohio. There may also be another maximum there in southern Missouri where maybe 4 to 6 inches is possible, maybe slightly higher, but I think this is broadly speaking going to produce maybe 2 to 4 inches from Kansas into southern Missouri through southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and southern Ohio. Now I teased kind of with the active pattern setting back in as we get into past the first week of March here. So we're going to play on the left side, we've got 500 millibar height anomalies, so we can see our troughs and ridges. On the right side, we've got 24-hour precipitation, and so we see this first system go through on Sunday, and then with a couple days of quiet weather, you see the pattern portrayed very obviously there as we get beyond, say, March 7th or 8th, we get into mid-March. We're going to be looking at this setup where we just get continuous low-pressure systems developing over the central and southern plains, tracking eastward into parts of the Midwest, and that just really favors the mid-Mississippi Valley, the lower Mississippi Valley, the mid-South, where we've seen a lot of rain over the last few weeks, and it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more, at least precipitation, probably in the form of heavy rain as we talk about the mid-South, but certainly going to be the potential for some snow again across parts of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. Here we're looking at the GFS ensemble for week 2. So again, getting into the very end of the first week of March here into mid-March, really favoring that zone from the southeast into the mid-south into Parts of the central and eastern Corn Belt, especially Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, those states here in our Corn Belt region look to be especially hit hard by some repeated heavy precipitation events as we head through mid-March. So again, concerns as we talk about getting close to planting season, especially in the Mid-South. It looks like it's going to be very wet. So we're going to have to watch closely over the next 1 to 2 weeks, looking for that dry window. It's amazing we're already talking about that, but the pattern looks wet. The pattern also looks cold, especially as we look towards the north. We're looking at 5-day temperature anomalies from the European model through Tuesday, and so that shows the very core of the coldest air from Montana down into central Kansas. And we can actually track which days we're looking at the peak of the very coldest air to move through. We're looking at temperature anomalies here, so how far from average are we? We begin on, this would be Friday, about 15 degrees below average across much of the Corn Belt west of the Mississippi River, but as we track through Saturday, and then Sunday, here is where at the peak of the coldest air will be located with temperatures, high temperatures, 45 degrees colder than they should be from Montana all the way into central Kansas. That cold air continues to spread south and east as we get into early next week. On Tuesday, we're still, 25 degrees below average across a huge portion of the central and the eastern United States from Montana to Texas, all the way up here to Pennsylvania and New York State, with the core of the coldest air beginning to settle in over the Corn Belt during that time. What does that mean for actual high temperatures? Well, we'll start on Friday, and that shows, whoops, let me jump back one more. It is the last slide that I've got for you, but I want to play this and step through it day by day. On Friday, we're looking at high temperatures in the teens to the single digits across the northern plains, a bit warmer in the central and the eastern Corn Belt, but now we can watch this cold air begin to settle in. On Sunday, again, with the core of that coldest air, high temperatures 45 degrees below average from Montana to Kansas. What does that mean in terms of actual high temperatures? Well, below zero in Montana and across the Dakotas into even parts of Minnesota. Single digits in central Kansas with low temperature or high temperatures in the 20s across the central and the eastern Corn Belt. Even colder in the central and the eastern Corn Belt as we get into early next week. Monday and Tuesday, high temperatures likely in the teens, as far south as parts of southern Illinois and Indiana, where again we could see some fresh snow cover on Monday. So, March 1st, first day of meteorological spring, not going to feel a whole lot like spring across the Corn Belt, at least for the next week or two. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video. You can find your next regional forecast right here on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.